Hello everyone, welcome to FedScoop TV. Greg Otto here. We're coming to you from Dell's Digital Transformation Summit. I'm talking with Michael Cote, the Director of Technical Marketing for Pivotal. Thanks for joining us today.
Sure, thanks for having me.
So what does digital transformation look like to you in 2017?
Well, to me, I spend my time looking at how and helping organizations do their custom written software.
Okay.
Right? So not off the shelf things. So a lot of what I see people doing in this year, I guess, which is wrapping up, hopefully next year too, is they're trying to figure out how to move the way they do their custom written software from multi-year cycles to actually deploying on a weekly basis. And so as an example, we did a project with the Air Force where now they're able to manage their tankers where they refuel planes in the air and other wacky cool stuff like that. It's a piece of software they schedule with that, and now if they want to, they can deploy about 20 new features on a weekly basis to it. So they can keep honing and perfecting and changing how that scheduling is done. And previously it was done on a whiteboard, which I'm sure was great, and done by a lot of hardworking, earnest people. But that's a kind of an extreme example that represents the going from analog to digitizing. And I think that fast cycle time where you can add new features and improve the software is, at least in the areas I care about, pretty key to success there.
Okay. So we deal with a lot of buzzwords in this industry, and the public sector is no different. How do we move past the buzzwords so the government can sort of revolutionize the way that they conduct their business?
Well, I think, this is like kind of an unhelpful answer, but it's good to like know what the buzzwords are, I mean as you look at the buzzwords, right? Like, there was a question about IoT earlier and how that affects things, and I guess using that as an example, like it'd be nice to, if you're making decisions about it, it's good to know what that technology actually is and what information it gives you and ability to control things. And then equally important is thinking, whatever agency or organization or whatever you're in, thinking about, well, what do we need to do? Like, how would we, it's nice to have this capability, but like, is there a way to apply it to how we need to do our operating and things like that? And I would imagine, for example, people managing roads and all sorts of things, physical assets that are out there, they have a lot of use for IoT, but I'm just kind of wildly speculating. If you do something that's like paper-driven, like the IRS, I'm not sure IoT is a big deal. I mean, maybe it is, but it's, I would have to like rack my brain about how it would fit into things that they do. So it's good to understand, there's nothing wrong with buzzwords, but it's good to make sure that there's an actual use for it so that you can prioritize how you spend your time.
So you said that you deal a lot with software. How do you see the software developments that you're seeing really push agencies away from legacy systems? Is that a hump that they are willing to get over, or how do you see that changing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If you think about that cycle where you can very rapidly develop software, there's two things. One is, once you start doing it, it gives you confidence that you could actually finish replacing a legacy system, right? It's not just going to be another 3 to 5 year slow adventure of doing something. And then of course, usually the way these things are done is you plan 5 years ago the features that you're going to have, and right when you deliver it, it instantly becomes legacy because now it's 5 years old.
Right.
But if you're deploying your software more on a weekly basis or even monthly, you're on the one hand avoiding creating legacy sooner than you would like to. You've got fresh systems that are always updated. And two, you can actually start replacing the legacy faster. You don't need to be on this super long journey of doing things. And then the second thing that I see frequently is it's probably a good idea to like not get too excited about replacing the majority of your legacy software. Like, it'll probably take a long time to do it. And if it's working, then maybe you don't need to worry about it so much. I mean, what is important is actually having, as someone was saying earlier, the discipline to follow through on your portfolio management of it and actively manage it, which seems to be the reason a lot of people feel that they have legacy software, because they've lost track of managing it.
Okay. So finally, we were talking about the IRS and the paper that they deal with. A lot of other government agencies deal with paper. So when we talk about digital transformation, a lot of people think it's just moving a form onto a website, and that's that. That's not really, while that's nice in some instances, that's not total digital transformation. So how can we change the way the government is interacting with its constituents in order to match up with the way that they interact with the private sector?
When it comes to, I think narrowing down on the paper thing and also working with constituents. So there's an agency that we were doing some work with, and they have a paper-driven workflow approval process, right? So most of the time when paper's involved, like you have, let's say, a constituent who's asking for something or responding to something in the case of paying taxes, right? They're interacting. And there's usually a workflow that involves multiple steps, multiple approvals, and finally there's an end to that workflow of like, for example, if you were looking to immigrate, it would be like, now you can immigrate, right? Like, and we've done all these checks along the way. And so there was one agency we were working with, and they had one of these workflows, and they had like I think a 15-month backlog to process the paperwork. And by doing like a value stream analysis, looking at every single step in that process, and then finding the bottlenecks, the parts that would take, you know, hours or even days to do, and removing those bottlenecks by writing better custom-written software around it, they were able to speed up that process and really start to chew away at that backlog. So I think having all of that, I don't know if people in the space like to use the word bureaucracy, but speeding up the bureaucracy by actually looking at the flow and going in and very surgically accelerating the things that take a long time, I think increases, as we would say in the private sector, customer service, which I think we all enjoy that.
Right, right. Michael, appreciate your insight. Thanks for speaking with us.
Sure, thanks for having me.
For all of our videos, check out our YouTube page, and for more on digital transformation inside the federal government, check out fedscoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.